It's 1776, the last days of the French monarchy. On April 1st, Sophie Germain was born. Her father was a merchant. Some say he did goldsmith. Some people say he did silk. Either way, he had money, which made her life a little bit better during the French Revolution, but not so bad that they got all killed or anything like that, so it's a good life. So typically during this time, women were not encouraged to have any profound ideas or to like math. Yes, the idea of an intellectual woman was actually taboo in that time. The French Revolution did not have any feminist movements. So she starts to like math, but her parents don't like this at all because they're like middle class and they don't want to have a bad name because their daughter's into something that's way taboo at that time. So in order to discourage her from studying math anymore, they took away all her candles, turned down the heat in her room, and then took her clothes. 'Cause that's normal. Oh yes. Later in life, she even had to take on somebody else's identity so that she could keep studying math and people would take her legitimately. So she actually learned to have this love of math when she was reading a book about Archimedes. She found it in her father's library. Now, Archimedes was apparently studying math like really intensely, and there was this whole army takeover going on, and a soldier came up and was like, "Hey, da-da-da-da-da-da." We don't know what he actually said, hence the da-da-da-da-da-da. And Archimedes was so intent on his math that he didn't hear him. So because he didn't respond, the soldier speared him, and he died. And Sophie was like, oh my gosh, he died because he was so concentrated. That's crazy. I want to be.
Eventually they got on board. They gave her back her candles, her clothes, you know, so she kept studying math, and a school for math eventually opened up called École Polytechnique. But obviously women weren't allowed to enroll. So what she did was a recent dropout, Antoine Auguste Leblanc, he had dropped out, but he was still getting homework sent to him, and so she managed to intercept those papers. And she worked out those problems and turned them in herself. And she turned them into this guy named Joseph Louis Lagrange. And basically he was really impressed with her work, and he kept like pursuing, you know, LeBlanc, and eventually she had to reveal to herself that she was a woman. And oddly, he was okay with that and actually became her tutor.
Well, after some years of being taught privately by Lagrange, Germain began to work on actual mathematical proofs and very complex mathematical theories. Her earlier works include the subject of number theories. Number theory, in a nutshell, is a branch of mathematics that studies purely integers, sometimes prime numbers, but only as properties made up of integers. She basically became interested in number theory after reading an essay written by Adrien-Marie Legendre entitled Essai sur la théorie des nombres. Together, along with Lagrange and in correspondence with Legendre, Germain helped prove some of the famous mathematicians Fermat and Euler's work with early number theory. She also helped give full treatment to the equation ax squared plus by squared plus cz squared equals 0, and helped provide proofs to a few quadratic equations as well.
Yes, actually, she was one of the people who made progress in Fermat's last theorem. In fact, she has a theorem named after her called the Sophie-Germain theorem. So, here it is. Let P be an odd prime. If there exists an auxiliary prime, then P equals 2np plus 1, such that if xp x to the power of p rather, plus y to the power of p, plus c to the power of p equals 0 mod p, then p divides xy, and p is not a p to the power residue of mod p. And then the first case of Fermat's last theorem holds true for p. Got it? She even entered her work to the Paris Academy of Sciences, and she became the first woman ever to win the Prix Extraordinaire.
Play the harder part.
Yeah, okay, so first off, she was this powerful woman without a feminist movement backing her up. She made progress into Fermat's last theorem, which, by the way, helps lead other people to figure out more stuff until, Wiles basically cracked the whole thing. And she was even the first woman to win that Academy of Sciences in Paris award that I talked about earlier.
Sadly, Germain died at the age of 55 of breast cancer in Paris. She never married, never had any family to speak of, however, is known to have been very happy with her colleagues, few friends, and her research. She died proud with the knowledge that she was the first person in 200 years to make any significant progress to solving Fermat's last enigma, as well as proving several mathematical proofs. She is a true inspiration on how to never give up.